Hi there, I'm Lee. I am back with another video for a brand new product that I am releasing right now. A lot of you may already be familiar with my perfect HST templates, which help you make really perfect, really accurate half square triangles. You can make them in bulk. I've had a really good response to those templates. So now I'm back. I'm coming out with another new product. It's called Perfect Geese Templates to help you make flying geese in a similar way. So here's what the templates look like. This is the 3x6 finished size. I'll talk a little more about what that means in a second. But I am going to show you exactly how they work, how you can use these templates to make geese, flying geese, quickly, accurately, every time. So let's get started. Okay, so here's what the templates look like. This is the 3x6 finished size. That means when the unit is complete, it will be 3.5 by 6.5 with seam allowance. But once it's sewn into the quilt block, the finished quilt block or quilt, it will be 3x6 because those seam allowances will be gone. So this is the 3x6 finished size. So the first thing you would need to do is actually cut out the templates right on these dotted lines. So that's what we're gonna do. I have a rotary cutter that I specifically use for paper and for foundation paper pieced projects, so that if it dulls the blade a little cutting through paper, this is my specific paper cutting rotary cutter. All right, there we go. Templates are cut out and ready to go. The next thing you need is your cut pieces of fabric. Each template is going to require a large square and a smaller square. The specific sizes vary depending on which size flying geese template you are making, but for this particular size, 3x6, we need an 8x8 square and a 5x5 square. Now the bigger square is always going to be the fabric for the geese, which is this big triangle right here. And the smaller square is always going to be the fabric for the background, which is fabric B, these shaded triangles on the corners. So I'm always assuming that you are probably making more than one of these flying geese. So the way I'm having you cut the fabric is designed to maximize the fabric used for multiple flying geese. So this one square, we're gonna cut diagonally twice to make 4 triangles. So this one square will actually work for 4 of these templates. So once you cut this, you're gonna take one of those triangles, and then the other 3 you can save for other templates that you might be making. This square is going to be good for just one template. So we're going to cut this square just once in half, and that's going to be for each of these triangles. So let's go ahead and do our cutting. So all I do is just take a ruler, place it from corner to corner, cut, and then corner to corner and cut again. So now we have these 4 triangles. You're going to use one of these for this one template. Save these other 3 for other templates that you're making. This 5x5 square, we're just going to cut one time. So corner to corner, cut it in half, and here are your fabric pieces for this particular template. Okay, so now that we have our pieces, we're ready to sew. So this is just straight up foundation paper piecing. If you've never done that before, it's a really great way to get super accurate sewn results without having to worry so much about an accurate scant 1/4 inch seam, accurate cutting. I have always loved paper piecing flying geese because it just is so much more accurate, for me anyway, than when you do it the old-fashioned way. So, I mean, not that paper piecing isn't old-fashioned, but you know. So, if you've never paper pieced before, this is an extremely easy paper pieced unit. So this is a great starting point for paper piecing. If you have paper pieced before, then you're in luck, no sweat, you know what to do. But for the people who haven't paper pieced before, I'm going to show you exactly how to paper piece this flying geese unit. So what you do when you paper piece is you always want your paper, what you're going to be doing is sewing the fabric straight onto the paper template and then ripping the paper out when you're all done sewing. So we want to always put the fabric on the back unprinted side of the paper template. And you're going to start with fabric A. This is your first piece, fabric A. So turn the template over, place your fabric right onto the back of where fabric A goes. So you can see now that I have that placed exactly on this fabric A section with enough overlap for at least a 1/4 inch seam. So if you fold this back, you can see the fabric ends about right here. So that's about a 1/4 inch out from where you're going to sew, which is on this dotted line. So this is pretty much perfect placement right here. So once you've got that in the spot you want it, you can pin it onto the paper. You can use a glue stick, like I have this Sew Line glue stick, to just do a little dab of glue and glue the paper down onto the paper, or glue the fabric down onto the paper template. Or you can just kind of hold it in place. For that, I would recommend you not do that until you have like a good amount of paper piecing experience, because it's really important that fabric stay where it is on the template. So I'm just gonna bend this template back a little bit, add a little dot of glue to keep it right on there. And I like the glue stick because it just keeps it nice and flat. You can pin it, absolutely you can pin it. That works great too, but I just like the glue stick because of how flat the fabric and the paper stay once you've got it where it needs to be. So here's your unit. You're going to take your next piece and place it right sides together onto this fabric piece. And you want to have the long edge of this triangle of fabric B, the long edge along this edge of fabric A. Okay, so you do not want to place it like this. That's not going to work. You don't want to place it like this. You want it just like this. And I like to align the bottom of this fabric B triangle, the bottom short edge, with the bottom edge of fabric A, so that it looks exactly like this. Okay, so this right here is perfect placement. Right sides together, so print touching print, short edge along the bottom, aligned with the long edge of this one. So that's good right there. So for this one, I'm just gonna hold this into place. I'm not gonna glue or pin it or anything like that, because this fabric A is adhered to the paper template. So if I just hold on to all this, it's gonna stay exactly where it needs to. So then I'm gonna flip this over, and it's gonna look just like this. And I'm gonna sew right along that dashed line through the paper and through both pieces of fabric. I'm just gonna sew right along here. Now the important thing is that you definitely want to lower your stitch length before you start sewing. And the reason we do that is because we want to perforate the paper more times, because that will help you tear the paper off after it's all stitched. So I typically lower my stitch length to around 1.5, but that's really personal preference. It's up to you. The lower you put it, the harder those stitches are to tear. If you have any need to take those stitches out, the lower the stitch width, the harder it is to take those stitches out. So if you're feeling pretty confident, go to 1.5. Otherwise, you might want to lower it, you know, a little less, maybe 1.7, 1.8, whatever you feel is the right balance. So now I'm going to take this to the machine and stitch right along this line. Okay, so as you can see, I stitched right along that line that says sew. Here, let me hold this up a little bit. So you can see that I've stitched at my reduced 1.5 stitch length right along that line. So when you flip this over, you're going to press this piece of fabric back, and there you have it. That's your the first side of your flying geese. So now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side with that other triangle. So, and be sure to have this piece flipped back and pressed before you place the next piece. So you're going to place the next piece exactly like you did the first one. So right sides together, short edge aligned along the bottom of this long edge of fabric A, long edge of fabric B lined up right along this angle with print touching print, right sides together, just like that. So now we're going to sew the next line. So you're going to flip that over and do the same thing. So right on this dashed line that says sew. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewn right along that second line. So flip it over and it should look like this. And then you're just going to fold back and press that second corner. And there you have it. You've sewn your flying geese unit. Now the next step obviously is trimming it down to the correct size. These templates are designed so that the fabric overlaps the edges, just so that you can come in at the end, trim it all down, and it's all like totally perfect, exact, correct size. You don't have any pieces that are slightly short or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim. And what you want to do when you're trimming is, so when you look at these templates, just note that the gray border around the edge is the seam allowance. So the gray border is the part that you will no longer see when you have this unit sewn into a finished quilt block or quilt top. So you want to trim along this thicker outside line with the scissors icon, because that will leave your seam allowance intact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my quilting ruler and line up this 1/4 inch mark right here with the inside line, which is the line where the seam allowance begins. Because if you line up this 1/4 inch mark on your ruler, you will have an exact 1/4 inch seam allowance. So just gonna go like that. Again, line up the 1/4 inch mark with that inside line, trim, trim, last one. There you go. Totally perfect flying geese unit, ready to go. All you have to do is remove the paper, which is very easy thanks to your lowered stitch length. Just tear just like this. As far as what paper I use, I always use just the cheapest kind of office copy paper that I can get. If you buy the cheaper kind, it's a little thinner, but it still goes through your printer just fine. So when you're printing off your templates, it's easy to print. And then when you come in and finish the unit, very easy to just tear right out, as you can see. So the glue stick left a little gunk and a little paper residue there, but that will wash right out when you wash the finished quilt top. There you go. There you have it. Finished Flying Geese unit. Super easy. Absolutely perfect. Right size every time. Makes it so much easier to piece whatever design it is you're working on. So I hope you enjoyed the templates, and I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more of my videos. Thanks!